Welcome to the Last Week This Week Season 2, Episode 2 review of The Last of Us. I'm Ian Scott.
And I'm Zack Huber. So this is the way that we're going to break down this review. We are going to start off with our non-spoiler thoughts. So we won't spoil anything. We'll try to keep everything hush-hush until we get to the spoiler section.
It's going to be hard with this episode. I'll say that.
It will be hard.
Yeah.
I've asked some people today, like, have you watched it? And they're like, I either was, had to go to work and I was like halfway through or just didn't watch it yet. And I was like, well, it's
gotta watch the whole thing.
It's an episode. Yeah. I mean, it's a big one.
It is a big one. It is.
So,
let's get into the non-spoiler stuff.
Non-spoiler like thoughts. I'm gonna say like out of the two episodes we have, the best one so far.
Sure. I mean, I also think it's possibly a top 3 episode of the entire series.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, the acting alone in this, really, and I'm trying to not spoil like even my reaction, but it really hit me hard. Like, and I already knew what was going to happen, and I was still like emotional about things, because of how good the acting was from Abby and Ellie and Joel. It was just like all of it was pretty incredible. And you had some really great action pieces in this, like some of the biggest we probably have seen in the whole show.
Yeah, I think definitely the biggest that we've seen in the whole show.
Yeah, and it visually was just a beautiful episode to watch. With this kind of snowstorm encompassing all of it was pretty great.
Yeah.
Acting
all around. Really impressed by everybody. Probably most impressed by the actress who plays Abby. I thought she did a fantastic job. But even like the people around her, I was, I felt
you bought
all of their like
their reasonings
and like us, but at the same time, like why they are in it with her in a sense, like a little bit. The tension in this episode was thick.
It was thick. You could feel something was coming,
But and like the tension and also the what's the word? Like there were just moments where I was like, oh my God, like this is I don't like, this is stressing me out.
Sure.
There was multiple moments that did this moment of like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm actually like, feel like I'm in the character's shoes, and it feels insane and it feels impossible. And then we get out of it, and it all feels, for the most part, really down to earth and well done. And so, like in that regards, like all the stuff that happens in this episode, except for maybe one moment, which I can nitpick later, felt like I was in it, and it felt exciting and it felt new. Like there's things that I hadn't seen before, or it's been a minute that I felt that way, which I really liked about it. Yeah. And they provided some context from certain characters like Ellie that I think was needed for this episode regarding her relationships with a certain person, because I think if you didn't have that,
you would have left them on a really rough spot,
So
yes,
overall, there's not a whole lot that there's not really anything that I didn't like in this episode. I just thought it was fantastic. And I was kind of shocked, because I know what happens, because it's kind of hard not to know what happens if you are even like a semi like into The Last of Us fan. I imagine it's like you've probably heard from other people like what happens. But I thought it was gonna happen, like when they said that they're breaking up season 2 into two, like
you thought it was gonna happen at the end of the season.
Yeah, like I thought like maybe that they were gonna spread this thing out to like it was gonna happen at a different point.
Mm-hmm.
But no, they just did it in like episode 2.
I have a feeling where the season's gonna end. Yeah, I actually didn't think you had known about the big thing that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And maybe we should just go into spoilers now since we're talking about major stuff. I mean,
yeah. So if you haven't watched Last of Us, season 2, just go watch it and then you can come back to this if you want. But yeah, we can go into spoilers now.
Yeah. So when I was talking to you last week, I didn't think you had known about Joel's death. But I knew it was something that happened very early in the game. And it was, and I had seen the scene before, but like I said earlier, you mean Abby, like the actress who plays her, Caitlin Dever? Yeah. She was amazing. You said it too. Like she made you understand and feel what she was doing, even if you don't fully agree with it. Like you get it, right? And then the like, I don't know, whatever you want to, not cherry on top, but like the avalanche of it all was just like Ellie coming in and witnessing it all and having this just awful emotional like scene it was incredible to watch that and to watch like it all go down and to see him die it was insane. I didn't think it was going to be that good on screen. I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought but like the more that scene was going on, the more that he was just like brutalized, I was like, oh, I think this is taking a turn. He's dying. I think he's gonna die. Yeah.
And I saw the cutscene from the game earlier today, and to me, this is one of those moments where like this surpasses the game in terms of how that scene goes down, and a lot of the scene went down. Right. But I do like that line that they kept, which was like, you don't get to, rush this or whatever. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it was even going back before that, God. So I don't know where I want to start with this. I want to say like, it was, you could feel how cold everybody was in this episode.
Absolutely.
And a lot of that, at first I was like, wow, like the makeup people, and maybe the makeup people did have a hand in some of this. But I mean, they were shooting during like, while it was snowing, is what I learned. So they're fucking cold already. So like I was fully like bought into what was going on. Yep. And the idea that like Abby's just like freezing her ass off, and then we had heard earlier in the episode or earlier last episode that they found like 30 of these infected
buried beneath the snow,
buried underneath other infected to kind of like keep warm or something. And then she lands in this,
like a pit,
like this valley or this pit of some kind in the mountains. And it was just like,
and then at that point, the rest of the episode is just like balls to the wall, fast paced, except with, like the Joel stuff.
Right.
But yeah, no, it was, I mean, that scene alone of her like having to get up and run and then, she's crawling through the fence.
That's the scene. That's the scene that I was like, wow, I don't think I've seen something like that in a minute.
Yeah.
I haven't felt that like scared in a minute. Like, it was,
I mean, like even she, like in the, the making of the episode, she was like, yeah, these things, like when they, yelled action and everyone just starts running at you, it is like scary, to even like be acting in it. And I was like, that's incredible.
Yeah.
But then, like if we go even farther back, I think like the intro to this episode is really great because you have that dream sequence with Abby where she's like trying to tell herself, save yourself the harm and don't go into that room with your father in it. Right.
Right.
And I think in general, that's a really interesting way. It's a really interesting way they're doing Abby this season, because from what I know in the games, like as a player, you don't even know really much of Abby's motivations, if at all.
Yeah. Well, I heard that you didn't even know why she did it until much later in the game.
So I think,
which makes sense more for TV, because I think if you just let her do that and kill Joel, and then we're supposed to follow her or Ellie now, you're just gonna hate Abby. Like, you're not
sure.
And then you might feel a certain way once you learn about it, but I feel like it's better for the audience to have that gray area as opposed to pure villain.
I think they are wanting to lessen the reaction a bit, in a sense, because the reaction to Abby in the game, it still is even very toxic, and everyone is like, fuck Abby, I hate her still, I hate that you killed Joel. And I think yes, giving us this context beforehand helps lessen that blow, and is okay, I could see it coming, I kind of get it. But I do think there would have been something so interesting about you're following Ellie after trying to get revenge, and you learn with her maybe that this is what or you learn during the same time that this is what Abby went through, and this is why she did it, and it changes your perspective on the whole story. I think that could have been really powerful in TV. So I'm just slightly bummed we didn't get that version.
Well, I still think we're gonna get her.
Well, Ellie will learn, sure, but we all know, and it's cool to learn with as the story goes,
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but I feel like I'm just gonna give them the benefit of the doubt right now, because they've delivered great everything so far. So I just trust that they know what they're doing.
Sure. Craig Bazin's the man.
So and after the chain scene, how fitting is it that Joel's the one that saves her, right?
And the fact that he even kind of leverages that with her, I saved your life, and she's like, what life do I have, and I'm like, yeah, that gives you chills in a sense too. It's yeah, you saved me, but you also destroyed me, and yeah, no, it's insane to have that happen, and to think if there's two moments really in this episode where Joel could have survived the whole thing, where he doesn't choose to save Abby, and then he chooses to go back to Jackson to help save the town. If he goes there, then yeah, sure, maybe he dies in a snowstorm, but he doesn't die to the hands of Abby.
See, the thing to me is if he went back to Jackson, not only is he going into this blizzard, but which they've already were getting close to hypothermia.
Right.
But you also, how are you going to get through to Jackson in a safe way when they infect, they're all barred up, and the only way through is that one choke point that that bloater kind of made. So it's how would you
it would have been a almost suicide mission for sure.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's another interesting choice. I don't know if you saw that too, that this, from what I know, is this whole sequence of the town wasn't in the game.
Yeah.
And I really do think it was an amazing way to make the entire episode have these crazy high stakes and tension.
Yeah.
And you were worried for obviously Joel and Ellie and Dina, but you were just as worried for Tommy and his wife and the rest of the town. And the action that comes from it was incredible. It was almost like a Game of Thrones sequence, on the wall, and yes, them seeing the barrels roll down and the fire spread out was great. And then you have the whole town getting invaded and all these people dying and all the clickers and whatnot dying. It was a really amazing sequence. And then you have Tommy with that bloater, which was I genuinely thought Tommy was gonna die. I was like,
I thought
okay,
his wife
wow.
was gonna swing in at the last moment.
Sure, I thought so too. But he just ends up doing it. Yeah.
I like that it was like, no, he just succumbed to the burn.
Finally. Yeah.
I was like, dang, okay. But he got that close, which was, it was good. And I from what I understand, like Tommy was the one that was with Joel that gets like instead of Dina.
So, really? Okay.
So
I guess I forgot about that.
So it is kind of nice that he gets like this action.
Yeah, this kind of moment,
like leader moment,
Right, yeah. To be, I mean, he's shown that he's almost like, is he like the mayor? He's not really the mayor, but he feels like he's in that town hall. He's given like a safety speech,
Yeah, it
feels like
the sheriff or something, I guess.
Yeah, because I know there's like a council, so
yeah,
I'm sure
he's on the council.
Oh, they're both on the council, him and his wife.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, wow. Power couple. Okay.
From the first episode, I think they're both on the council, right?
I honestly only thought like she was, but
maybe maybe it's just her. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be hard for him to be in charge of all that stuff and then not be on it. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
No, I agree. Probably should be on the council. Yeah.
Now, the one thing that I said that I had like a slight issue with was when they break through and Tommy's out there with the flamethrower, and at a certain point his eyes are like, I'm going after the bloater because he's attacking my wife and stuff like that. Up until that point, everybody on the ground, on like going on the roofs, roofs were getting attacked. Nobody was being saved.
Yeah,
but Tommy's
in the middle of it.
In the middle of everything. And you can see the clickers running past him. And I was like, all right, this is like some Hollywood shit where it's like they just want you to have this moment.
For sure.
And I was like, that was the only part that I was like, all right, fine. Like,
yeah, I mean, honestly, when the other flamethrower guys ran, I was like, yeah, that's smart. I don't know why you on the ground. That makes no sense.
Well, the flamethrower can only go so far.
I know, but like, then you're not using flamethrowers if you're on the ground. I mean, like, you're pretty much asking for death.
Not necessarily. You got a fucking flamethrower.
Yeah, but you got a horde of things running at you.
Yeah, but if you have 4 of you and you're walled up, like, you stand a pretty good chance for a while.
Yeah. But it is kind of wild how fast like Tommy's flamethrower ran out. It like can't hold up a wall that long.
But it's also like he was going full blast for like I mean, it was a good bit. He did it for a good bit.
For sure. Yeah.
But yeah, what I was talking about with Ellie, kind of recontextualizing where their relationship stands now, it was like, I felt it was so important to have the audience know, like, yeah, maybe like things don't seem great right now, but like our relationship's never gonna change. Like, we're still Joel and Ellie.
Yeah, it'll change, but it will never they'll never be like done with each other, right?
Right.
And it was great
but
to
up until that point.
You were like, is she done with Joel? Right. And I think what was really nice was that like it was very much implied that she was ready not to like maybe forgive everything or even have like an incredibly deep conversation, but she wanted to speak with Joel and maybe hash things out. And it is heartbreaking that Joel and her didn't get a chance to speak. I do think it was probably better for Joel to see like Ellie as he's dying, than to not see her at all. Right. But still so incredibly heartbreaking and tragic. I mean, like when Ellie burst into the room, like my mouth like dropped and like I was like, holy shit. Like I couldn't believe the entire scene that was happening. It was really impactful.
Yeah. And I mean, it sets up her being as 19-year-old, like mad at their dad kind of thing, that it's going to affect her so much that was the last that that was how she was like before he died.
Now, I wouldn't be surprised though if we get like Joel in the future kind of like talking to her in her head.
I don't think we're getting that. I think we're gonna get flashbacks.
Sure, but I will say the thing that makes me think that's possible, like I think the first trailer that ever came out for The Last of Us 2, it was one of the first, was like, obviously Joel the viewers didn't know, but like Joel had died at that point, and she's like playing guitar alone in a room, and he's like, "What are you doing, kiddo?" And I think there are, like, if she plays her guitar, I do think like something like that will happen. She'll feel extra close to Joel, because I think yeah, it would be incredibly powerful to never see him again, and to be like, well, this is Ellie's story now, right? And I don't want them to overuse a like ghost or flashback Joel, but I do think it would be really powerful to see maybe her talk things through, try to resolve some things without,
Yeah, I mean, maybe it will happen. I always feel kind of strange when shows do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's baked into it. Like when I watch Dexter and he's talking to his dad, like he's like, it was from episode 1, and it was baked. Like, it was like, I'm talking to my dad who's not here anymore, and I live by his code. And so he's like working things out in his head. Like, what would Harry want me to do? But when you introduce it later on, like it could work. It might be fine.
I think it really worked in Daredevil season 3. You had multiple characters who was talking to Matt. Like Kingpin was talking to Matt, and his dad was talking to Matt. I think there might have been one other person, but I mean, like,
or
when someone
dream sequences or something, I don't know.
Yeah, but I just feel like when somebody is in that intensive, like, an emotional state, I think the writing for that is pretty easy, for it to be natural, because they want to resolve, they want, to see that person. And I think like they're in such a vulnerable state that it's possible. Right. Yeah. So, but yeah, what I think is pretty amazing is that this episode sets up, obviously, the tone and the story for the rest of this season. I mean, I know in the game, I think you start following Abby right after this. I don't believe that will be the case with the story here. It seems like we're going to be following Ellie. So I'm curious, how that all goes. And I think I know where the stopping point is, but like for this season, but I think that's really spoilery. So I'm not going to say it. But
I'm curious. I don't know anything about this second game. I know that we're probably going to Seattle to learn about this group that Abby is a part of with Isaac.
The WCF, whatever that is. Yeah.
And that's about it. Something about a red flare seems to be really important. They keep teasing it in all the marketing, so I imagine like something's going on there.
I don't know anything about a red flare, but maybe they've added something in, or maybe it was in the game and I just didn't know about it. So
but I mean, it'll be interesting to see how people react to this, because I personally think it's not going to affect the show that much. If anything, it'll get more people on board.
Possibly. I do think it is. I mean, it's always so risky killing off one of your two main stars. And I'm sure there's going to be people who were specifically watching for Pedro who are going to be very upset, right?
I mean, there's still a lot of people out there that are like making fun of Bella Thorne Ramsey, and it's very, very annoying. In my opinion, I think it's unwarranted, and I think it's ridiculous that people feel the need to like I don't know, make fun of somebody just for like how they look, or
right.
Like, because I'm like, anyways.
In a sense, I'm glad they didn't recast her character to see her kind of like age up, because And yes, I would have preferred they just have a huge gap in the middle of the 2 seasons. But regardless, I think having the original actress and seeing the emotion, knowing like that person went through this whole journey with Joel really just cemented the whole scene, you know?
Right.
So yeah, stellar episode. 9.5 out of 10. Pretty amazing.
Not 10 out of 10?
I mean, it could, I mean, do I have any real complaints other than I just prefer, like a more kind of villainy Abby? That's probably my only complaint.
I would say that I'm not going to give it a ranking like you, but I would say it's still, Bill and Frank is still probably my number one.
Oh, okay.
Episode.
Okay.
I think it's kind of hard to beat that episode, honestly.
I don't know my number one. I mean, I feel like I would also have the finale of last season in my top 3.
It's good. It's good.
I love that finale.
No, it is good. Yeah. I mean, this might be the second. This might be second.
Yeah. Yeah,
I do love that first episode though, so I don't know.
Oh yeah. That first episode with all like the pre-stuff.
Really good.
Man, it's really good. Yeah.
I love how it ends where they're like walking into this. Actually, it might be 3 because it might go Bill and Frank intro to Last of Us and then this one.
Yeah, I don't have a definitive ranking like that, but we're definitely in agreement. It's a top 3er.
Top 3. Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, I think that's all our thoughts on The Last of Us. And next week we'll be back with the review of episode 3. We just want to say thank you for watching and listening, and we will see you all next time.
Yep. See you next week.